So now it's time to actually install a routing solution into our application, so that we're not really displaying everything on what appears to be a single page. And by adding a router, we'll be able to add links into our application and direct users to different pages. And the solution we're going to be using, of course, is React Router. Now, when it comes to React, there's normally a lot of decisions to be made about which packages you're going to use to help you build your application. What CSS framework, what state management solution, what forms library you're going to use. But when it comes to routing, the decision is a lot easier. The community is settled pretty much on just one particular routing solution, and that's React Router. And what we can do is we're going to install this into our application, and because we're building a web application, we're going to use React Router DOM. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up our terminal window, and I'm just going to open up a new session and make sure we cd into the client app, and then I'm going to do npm install React Router DOM and press return. And this installs React Router version 5.0.1 into my client application. Now what we want to do is we want to set this up, and React Router, if we take a look at the API for this, what we want to do is make use of the browser router, and this is a router that uses the HTML5 history API to keep our user interface in sync with the URL. And there is also a router, but this is a low-level interface for all of the router components, and what we want to do is make use of the browser router, which gives us access to the browser history. So we're going to set this up in our index.tsx file, and we're going to wrap browser router around our application. So inside our client app, inside the source folder, we'll go to our index.tsx file, and what we want to do is we want to import browser router as a named import from React Router DOM. And we're getting a warning here, and if we hover over the warning, what it's telling us is it could not find a declaration file for the module React Router DOM. So what we can do, as per normal, is we're going to try and install the types for React Router DOM. And I'm just going to copy this into my clipboard and open up the terminal and just paste this in. So we're going to try and install the types for React Router DOM. And I already know these are available, so this will work just fine. And the types are installed. Now there is a slightly different version of React Router DOM for the types, because the types haven't been updated and kept in sync with the latest package. But this isn't a problem. Even though version 5 of React Router DOM is a major release, it's pretty much the same thing, except for one tiny difference, or a couple of tiny differences that we're using. The major version bump was mostly on internal changes and in performance improvements between version 5 and version 4. So as far as the typings are concerned, these are going to be the same. And what this has also done is remove that particular warning that we were getting. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to surround our app with browser router. So I'm going to say browser router and cut and paste our app inside this and just reformat. And now we've got access to a router inside our application. And what we'll look at next is setting up our initial routes for our application.